What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Take 3 podcast. We're back here. Week 15 of the NFL season has arrived. It officially kicks off tomorrow night in Seattle. San Francisco looking to get closer to wrapping up the NFC West. We figured they'd be up there not with Brock Purdy or Josh Johnson at quarterback. We thought it'd be with Trey Lance for the season, right? But obviously things change, but they've still found a way with that defense of D'Amico Ryans and the run game and all the weapons to keep things going. So they go on the road into Seattle. Seattle's kind of sputtering. They're looking to, steal one, keep themselves in the playoff picture. Then we move into Sunday, Miami and Buffalo. Looks like snow and wind. How will Miami look? They're reeling 2 straight losses. They're not looking to make it a third. They also beat Buffalo in Miami to start the year. So obviously Josh Allen and those guys are going to get that one back. Baltimore, Cleveland. It's kind of, that's a slap fest. Baltimore has like no quarterbacks playing, and then you got the bum massage parlor guy playing at quarterback for Cleveland. Minnesota, Indianapolis. You figure Kirk Cousins should be able to get the job done. We'll see, though. I've seen crazier things. The Desmond Ridder debut, that's got to be exciting for Atlanta. Marcus Mariota got put on IR. He's out. Giants, Washington obviously got moved to Sunday Night Football. The Eagles, we wrapped up a playoff clinch, still inching closer to the 1 seed. Detroit and the Jets go at it. Detroit has slim wild card hopes. The Jets obviously looking to sneak in as well. They've kind of been on the other way, but they got that defense back at home. Dallas looking to get things going. So, what are you looking at going into week 15? I forgot even to mention, somehow the Packers got put back as touchdown favorites. We've been laughing at that. I don't know how. I don't care who they're playing. The team's not a touchdown favorite type of team. But yeah, how do you like week 15? What are you looking at as we get into this week's action?
Yeah, actually pretty excited for week 15. There's some really good matchups. I think big matchups for wild card implications, especially the NFC. Well, actually the NFC and the AFC, really big matchups for wild card implications. We have the Jets, we have the Patriots, we have the Chargers all vying for the last wild card spot in the AFC. They all need to win. And they're all going to be probably in competitive games. They're going to be pretty good. And then on the NFC side, it's the Commanders and the Giants going at each other, the Lions going for it. So it's like we're going to get some clarity on the NFC wildcard picture. I'm actually pretty excited for some of these matchups.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move right into it. The first one kicks off tomorrow night in Seattle. The San Francisco 49ers, as of right now, they're anywhere from 3 to 3.5 points. Brock Purdy, oblique and rib injury, so he's kind of questionable now. That kind of popped up today when I saw it. So I was like, now I'll become iffy. Like if Josh Johnson has to play quarterback, obviously it's kind of the same thing stands. Like Kyle Shanahan, hell of a head coach. He still has Ayuk. There will be no Debo. Obviously, they lucked out that he won't be out for the rest of the season, but he won't be here for like the next 3 to 4 weeks and probably be back playoff time. And then they go on the road to play Geno Smith, right? Geno, he threw 2 picks last week. He's been pretty good all year. He needs to cut the turnovers down. I saw Kenneth Walker has no injury designation, so that's a huge boost to them when he's in that backfield. The guy's a stud, solid rookie. So, what are you looking at in Seattle? When I saw the Brock Purdy thing, we were talking beforehand, if I would have had to pick this game yesterday, I'd probably roll San Fran just because I feel like Brock Purdy's been good enough, right? He looked pretty damn good against the Bucs. He did his thing, made the throws that he needed to make, and they have everything around him with the defense. But now I'm iffy because I don't know how many reps Josh Johnson's got. I don't know what the QB situation looks. I kind of tilt towards Seattle. They might still lose, but you give me 3.5, right? I kind of like Geno at home. Crowd should be pumped up. They're just on the outside. If the Giants lose, right, then they could inch their way up if they find a way to win. So there's a lot on the line here Thursday night for the Seahawks and the 49ers.
Yeah, you pretty much laid it out perfectly with the stakes being so high, especially for Seattle, because the Niners seemingly have a playoff spot. Obviously, they could mess it up down the stretch, but it seems like they're going to win their division. It's Seattle that really needs to win. They're at home. We know how the 12th man responds to nationally televised games. That stadium should be rocking. And then the question marks at quarterback for the 49ers. It's kind of weird. I didn't really see Brock Purdy get hurt during the game. It feels like he just kind of popped up on the injury report, so hopefully he's all right. But even then, if he doesn't go for this Thursday game, Josh Johnson, no Debo, like you said, we'll see a lot of Christian McCaffrey. But like as much as Geno Smith, and I think the Seahawks will struggle to score on this Niners team, I love the plus 3.5 at Seattle. They're in desperation mode. They need the win. Geno Smith's been obviously playing really well in the passing game. They missed Kenneth Walker. I'm worried about the ability for Seattle to run the ball, especially against the Niners. That worries me. But at home, and they're in desperation mode. They know they have the Chiefs after this, then the Jets, and they need to win these games down the stretch. This is a big month for Geno Smith and the Seahawks. So, I like them at home getting a field goal and a half, 3.5. I think it is going to be a field goal game. I think it's going to be close. So, if it was Brock Purdy, I think I also would have rolled Niners, but I'm going to roll with Geno Smith, Seattle plus 3.5 to get it done. I could see them straight up losing, but I don't see them losing by more than a field goal at home. Prime
Yep.
time spot.
Facts. Yeah, I'm kind of. It feels a 20-17 game. I would probably still take Niners money line, but obviously we're in the business of picking games against the spread. So like, once it climbs up to 3.5, I'm like, okay, you can lose 20-17, and I'll still get my cover for the week. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be close. It comes down to what would the quarterback position look like for the 49ers if it is Josh Johnson? What do they let him do on offense? How will the Seahawks respond to that? Right? Will they stack the box? Will they try to attack Christian McCaffrey, shut down the run game? And how will that work? And then Geno Smith just playing clean football, man. Can they keep him upright? Can they keep the pass rush off of him? Nick Bosa and D'Amico Ryans, that defense is going to turn up and want to go after him. And he can't afford to throw another, 2 interceptions against the 49ers. I was about to say against the Seahawks, but yeah, he can't afford to have another 2-pick game. He has to play clean football, smart, and try to get Kenneth Walker going. It's going to be tough, but they got to find a way to get him going. But yeah, it should be a good one. A lot of stakes on the line for Seattle, as we mentioned, especially with the Giants and Washington playing Sunday night, how that can turn out for them if they're able to get a win. They got a tough schedule. It kind of sucks for them, right? They peak so well early, and then it comes down to this like gauntlet of a schedule where you got to play. Yeah, when you mentioned the Niners, the Chiefs, then you got to play the Jets. It's like, damn. It's like, could they have they run out of steam at the wrong time?
And once again, funny enough, that tie for the NFC East just looms large. For Seattle purposes, it would have been better off if one of those teams straight up lost. And they would have been rooting for the team that lost to lose again this Sunday night. But now that they have the tie, like they sit just ahead of Seattle. So like Seattle's got a little work to do. And yeah, it's a big one.
Yep. Let's move on. Sunday afternoon action. We get the rematch. The Dolphins now go into Buffalo, so it's going to be the complete opposite. It was like 100 degrees on the field in Miami when they played earlier in the season. Dudes were sweating, gassing out, cramping up, and just total exhaustion. And now you go the other way around. It's supposed to be like 20 degrees. You got 15-mile-an-hour wind, probably gusting like 20 to 25 miles an hour. You got snow, and yeah, Tyreek's kind of banged up. We've seen what Tua's looked like the past 2 weeks, right? He's looked like absolute dog shit. He's kind of looked like the guy that's making us question, do you give him an extension? And yeah, I mean, Buffalo's looking, inch closer. They're in a good spot right now, inch closer to the 1 seed. They definitely want to get the game back from Miami that they lost down there, right? You always want to get the revenge on the divisional opponent. They're 7-point favorites at home. What do you see here? Obviously the conditions. Once you told me the conditions, I didn't even look at the weather. That was the huge factor. I was like, yep, I'm out on Tua. I was sitting all day. I was like, Dolphins +7, Dolphins +7, Dolphins +7. But when I saw it's going to be snow, wind, I was like, yeah, I mean, you got a fragile guy that can throw slants and little 2-yard passes. They got a lot of speed. They can do crazy stuff, but I just don't know how is Tua's ball going to hold up in the wind and the snow on Sunday in Buffalo.
Yeah, so you pretty much nailed it with the weather. So I was also thinking Dolphins +7. I was kind of worried about it though. Tua's had 2 back-to-back bad games, and now we're at the point where we're kind of questioning Tua again. Is Tua the middle of the road quarterback, or is he that quarterback that we saw have a really good stretch? To me, I think I said it in the preview, and the recap, I credit Miami's coaching staff a lot. For those reasons, I have to go Buffalo as well. I don't like laying a full touchdown against a divisional opponent, but is at home. And then I don't think Tua is going to play well in these conditions with it being really cold and a snow game. And like, I'm not sure if they have their tackles back or not. I'm not liking Miami here because this feels like a game that you had to have a run game for, and Miami's run game has been non-existent, whether it's Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, the tackles are there or not. I'm gonna imagine Saturday night that Miami has a really hard time running the ball in Buffalo, especially in those conditions. And then that means we're relying on Tua. The last 2 weeks we relied on Tua against the Chargers and against the Niners, and he looked terrible. I think he's not going to look good again. Divisional opponent, Buffalo's going to be ready to go. They blew the first matchup against them, like you mentioned earlier in the year. There's just so many factors is all pointing towards Buffalo. If Tua comes out on Sunday and throws the rock really, really well in the snow and leads Miami to a win, then he's right back in the conversation of what we were talking about at the beginning of the year. We're going to instantly forget about the last 2 bad games, but I think it is much more likely that Miami goes out there, Buffalo's defense stifles them. They get to Tua, they can't run the ball at all, and they have a long, long Sunday. I just have a really hard time seeing Miami get it done here.
Yep, I think we're looking at another dud game for Miami. I think they're a team that's also kind of running out of steam. They're doing like the reverse Brian Flores, right? Where Flores couldn't win out the gates, McDaniel could win out of the gates, but now they're just losing, losing, losing. And it's scary times. Yeah, Tua hasn't looked good. You throw him in these conditions. I don't know what to expect. I don't expect a lot. I think Buffalo is going to come out. This could be one of those lopsided games. Touchdown, it kind of scared me earlier today, yesterday, but once I heard the conditions and what's going on and them sputtering, I don't know what the tackles are going to look like. Their run game's been an embarrassment and kind of weather where you'd want to have a run game and be able to move the football on the ground. They just don't have it. I don't trust Tua. The arm's not there. It's gonna be a long one. I think it's gonna be a long Sunday for the Dolphins. But now that I said that, it's gonna be a complete flip flop, and Tua will look great. And what to come on here next week or whenever and say, it's Tua legit, but I don't think it's happening. And then it gets interesting for them because they lose this. They're 8-6. Their final three, they play the Packers, Patriots, Jets. And then you have also the Patriots and the Chargers looming right behind them. It's like, could the Dolphins, the team that we said could win the AFC East 3 weeks ago, could they miss the playoffs? Like that's really, it's a realistic possibility now, right? That they could miss the playoffs.
Yeah, the AFC wildcard picture down the stretch gets real bundled up because, like, the next game we were going to talk about, Titans Chargers, that has big implications. And then the Raiders are very capable of beating the Patriots this Sunday, too. So it's like, here we go down the stretch. We were talking about Seattle needing to win, but even though Miami has a little bit of a cushion, they can't really mess it up either. They need to win here, too.
Exactly. Big games, and that's what's so fun when it gets late in the season, right? So many scenarios, the stakes are so high, and there's all eyes are on these teams, right? Nobody's going to miss out. But moving it on, as you mentioned, the teams, one of the teams that really impacts the Titans aren't really one. I mean, they're kind of sputtering. 2 losses. Derrick Henry's only been over 100 yards rushing one time in his last 5. And as you mentioned when we talked before, he only had one big carry really against the Jacksonville Jags, and then the rest of the game, the Titans got their ass beat. Right, it was kind of lopsided. I was disappointed in the Titans. I was a Titans -4 guy last week. Really thought they'd be able to do it. They couldn't. But they're playing the Chargers, who came off beating Miami, and they're right in the playoff picture for that wild card, right? They're sitting back just saying, all we have to do is win games and Miami will fuck it up. We'll be able to get in. They're 3-point favorites at home, taking on the Titans. Justin Herbert, I always like watching Justin Herbert. Derrick Henry got a lot on the field, a lot at stake this week. What are you looking at when the Titans go against the Chargers? Obviously, we know the Titans are going to try to run the damn ball. It's something that the Dolphins couldn't do, something that the Dolphins really didn't even attempt to do against that weak Chargers run defense. Do you think Derrick Henry gets back on the wagon here in LA and ices down the Chargers?
Yeah, so this game is actually going to be really fun, really competitive, and it's like really interesting for like the Chargers side. So I picked the Chargers -3. I'm pulling for the Chargers to make the AFC wildcard playoffs. I think if they do get the 7th seed, they would get the Chiefs right now, and that'd be such a fun third matchup. I want to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. So like, I'm pretty biased here. Like, I'm winning the Chargers for personal reasons. Like, I want to see them get in, but this matchup makes me nervous. The Chargers, I have way more confidence in their offense out of after last week with Mike Williams being back, Justin Herbert slinging the rock. They got their weapons. Like, I think the offense is going to do what it does. I'm still nervous about this defense simply because of like how many of their stars are not on the field still. And they just have too many injuries between Bosa and Derwin James and then the cornerbacks as well. It makes me really nervous. I'm rolling the Chargers here at home, Justin Herbert to get it done. And to me, I know the line is a field goal, but it feels like a pick 'em, honestly, because I expect this to be a field goal game or one possession score, so if you go to a touchdown. But I'm so nervous because the one thing Tennessee does is run the ball. Obviously, you already alluded to Derrick Henry not being great the last like month, but this is a perfect get right spot. You're on the road. You're 3-point dogs. You probably don't want the ball in Justin Herbert's hands a lot. You're going to want to run the ball, chew the clock, and like this is a perfect defense to eat them up. I think Derrick Henry is going to have a really, really good football game. I think he's going to have a big day, but I'm simply rolling Justin Herbert over Ryan Tannehill because even with that, with all that being said, Justin Herbert and the Chargers can score in bunches and get big chunk yards. I think the Chargers get it done by field goal at home, but like I am very nervous about this because I think Derrick Henry, this is a get right spot for him. I think he's going to have a big game.
Yeah, I'm with the Chargers as well. I think Derrick Henry could get right, do his thing, but I think at some point in the game, as you mentioned, the Chargers, they can score points, they can do their things, their weapons, everything's clicking right offensively when they need it. I was impressed last week in prime time against the Dolphins, and I think it just at some point it's going to come down to Ryan Tannehill having to make a throw or two or a couple throws, and I don't see it. I've never been a big Ryan Tannehill guy. This year he's been iffy, and I just think when you put the two quarterbacks head to head, I think Justin Herbert's going to be able to make more plays. And the last act of Brandon Staley will it'll continue. They'll find a way to get a win at home and keep it moving. I don't know. The Titans, something hasn't been there. Derrick Henry, I mean, I think he'll get over 100 yards. He'll have his way, but I don't think it'll matter, right? I don't think they have enough. Traylon Burks concussion protocol. Don't know if he'll
Yeah.
go. So that's another hit at wide receiver, right? I mean, who scares you out there? Really, if Brandon Staley is smart, he would say we can just straight shut down, try to shut down Derrick Henry, right? Stack the box. Just don't do it the way the Packers tried to do it. They tried to shut down Derrick Henry and literally let Ryan Tannehill make every throw that he wanted, right? It was an easy day. Ryan Tannehill had a nice day in Green Bay. So if they don't do it that way, which one would hope that a defensive coach like Brandon Staley would have his guys ready. But yeah, I'm just taking Justin Herbert. I think they're peaking. I want them in the playoffs, as you mentioned. They're a fun team. I love Justin Herbert, watching him play the weapons, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. I want to see those guys in the playoffs. And if we could get the Chiefs game again, like those teams when they combine, it's just fireworks, right? It's great. It's what you want to see in the playoffs. And yeah, so I think they find a way. And the last act of Brandon Staley continues at least for another week, right? He's still on thin ice. The ice is still very thin. It really doesn't matter if he makes the playoffs. As I said last week, he has to make a long run there. He's probably out of a job anyway. But it continues. Justin Herbert finds a way to get it done again at home.
Funny enough, for the Chiefs Chargers matchup is like, if you're the Chiefs or Chiefs fan, you really should be rooting for Tennessee. Like, obviously they've owned the Chargers, they beat them twice this year, but like, this is a team that's like got all the talent in the world whenever Justin Herbert has his weapons, and it's like you don't want to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. If they play, I'd probably pick the Chiefs, obviously, but like it would be close and competitive. And you don't like if they could get an easier 7th seed to where they could cakewalk a wild card game. I'm sure they would prefer that over the Chargers.
Exactly. Yeah, the Chargers never make it easy, right? It came down to a touchdown with 30 seconds to Travis Kelce where they refused to tackle him in LA, and then it came down to Justin Herbert doing some dumb shit, throwing a pick six at the goal line to win those. So it's always a sweaty game. So yeah, I mean they would love nothing more than a Titans win, right? Have to kind of avoid it. I don't think obviously they're not scared of the Chargers, but it's like those are
Right.
sweaty games. Like having to play Justin Herbert, having to play those guys, it's always a sweaty game. It's not an easy one facing those dudes, especially a third time, right? It's like you imagine the Chargers are saying third time's the charm. We can finally get it done. And the way this season's going, I wouldn't be shocked if they found a way, but I would probably still roll Chiefs, as you said. But it's always dicey. You don't want to play them. I think that's like the wild card team. You don't want to play because they just have so much talent. It's right. It's like when they roll into that game, can they put it all together? And they've been able to do it the past couple weeks. Let's see if they can keep it going and keep things moving, right? Moving on, week 15 spread picks are live. We kind of had a shit week last week, looking to kind of get things back on track. I mentioned one that I love right off the rip. I think we both love it as Rams +7, just because when the hell did the Packers become touchdown favorites over anybody? Again, I don't see it. I kind of like the Giants as well, right? 4.5 seems like a good one. I like Brian Dable and what he's been able to do with that squad. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. And then what else I don't know. What else do you like when you look at this slate for week 15 spread wise?
Well, my favorite one for sure is the last one you mentioned, the Giants +4.5. We have a Commanders Giants matchup. Last time it was a straight up tie. I just don't see this game being more than a field goal difference. I think these teams are both good football teams. They've proven it at this point. They're not great football teams. It's not going to be the most fun game to watch at all. But like spread wise, like I like the Giants +4.5 a lot. If they straight up win, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And they only have to cover by a field goal. They have to just lose by a field goal or less. Like I think that's very, very doable. I'd be surprised. So like the Giants +4.5 is the one I like a lot. And the one I would never bet, but like it just makes me laugh is the Broncos Cardinals, because like, are we getting Brett Ripien versus Colt McCoy? I'm assuming Russell's okay, but like, man, that's going to be terrible.
Yeah, I don't even know if Russ is okay, right? Nobody, I haven't really heard anything. I don't know. Probably not. I mean, that was pretty nasty, like that concussion he took. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to take three, yeah, Rams +7, Giants 4.5. I mean, they could lose 21-17 and you still roll off into the sunset with ease with that one. And then, I mean, if I had to pick a third one, honestly, it's Bengals 3.5. I don't know. Like the Bucks are not a good team. I don't give a damn where they're playing the Bucks. They could be playing them in Germany. They could be playing them in Qatar. They could be playing them, anywhere. I think the Bengals have an easy day. The Bucks are not a good football team right now, right? And you can't even like lean on that defense when you used to be able to just lean on, be like, yeah, dude, the defense will do this and do that. Like, no, dude, the offense is so bad. And I'm not taking the defense. We just watched Brock Purdy shred them, and the 49ers have an easy day. Like, I like the Bengals. So if I had to take like a three pick, that would be in there as well. Like Rams, Giants, Bengals. Yeah, I mean that'd be a play for me for sure. Cowboys -4, I like it as well. Though they should get back on track, right? They know what they got coming next week. They got the ass whooping of a lifetime coming on Christmas Eve, but they got a get right game. They literally did not show up against the Texans. You -4 again in Jacksonville. I like where that is. Chiefs -14. Did they cover that? I mean, we rolled the 16-point favorite Cowboys last week. We're both coming back with the Chiefs. You have to play the Chiefs, I think. It's like there's no world where I'm waking up and taking the Texans. Yeah, I mean, what do you think of that one? That's like the only double digit spread on this slate. Everything else is fairly close.
Yeah, I would feel much better about the Chiefs -14 than like the Cowboys last week. Houston wanted to beat Dallas bad. Obviously, that was like their best played game of the year. I can't imagine Houston can put together back-to-back good games against good opponents, to be honest. And the Chiefs are kind of in a close one with the Broncos. Like I feel like if that same thing happens this week, which it probably will, they'll take like a 3-touchdown lead. They'll hold on to it. I don't see it happening 2 weeks in a row, just like I don't see Houston being able to put together two good games 2 weeks in a row. And then the other game that's like super interesting that I wouldn't bet on because I feel like it's going to be really close is the Jets Lions. It's like a pick 'em. We both took Jets, which I think is the right side. It's in New York. That defense has been very, very good, and they'll be able to score on that Lions defense. So it's like it's going to be all up to Jared Goff and that dynamic offense if they can score enough. But like that one's going to be really, really fun because it has like the loser is going to have a hard time making the wild card between the Jets Lions. So it's like really weird to see a Jets Lions matchup that's going to be exciting, but like all eyes on that one. That one actually should be really fun.
For sure, man. There's a lot of interesting stuff, right? There's a lot of stakes to ratchet up. We got 4 weeks to go, right? We really get to see some teams will clinch this week. Hopefully the Eagles inch closer to the 1 seed. Hopefully we can wrap that thing up, right? That would feel good. I mean, I hope the Bills are looking to do the same thing, get closer and closer to that. We got a lot of teams vying, a lot of spots. Everything's close. That AFC wildcard picture is crazy. The NFC wildcard with those last couple slots as well are interesting. With the NFC East having all four teams in as of right now, that could change, right? A couple losses happen. That could obviously, if the Seahawks are able to get a win or two, sneak them up. Any kind of closing thoughts going into week 15 before we kind of come back, reevaluate where we shit the bed, where we were completely wrong after this week?
I'm just excited to see how this wild card picture plays out. Eagles get the Bears, so they should be able to take care of business. That's all I'll say about that. And yeah, just interesting to see how this wild card picture falls out by the end of the weekend.
Exactly. Should be some fun stuff rolling in next week, but that's going to wrap it up for the week 15 preview. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Drop any feedback in the description or add us on Twitter at Take3Sports. Spotify link will be in the description as always if you're an audio only listener. And yeah, that'll do it for a week 15 preview. We'll be back next week to discuss the events of week 15 and get into week 16.